think we're good to go. You guys have voted, or if you do have questions, guys, and new folks, if you do have questions on any of these projects, please stop by, and I'll be more than happy to ride you over there, and we'll take a look at them.
I think number six Taylor Bottom is gonna require some action.
It is going to require some action. See attached an application for planning grant funds. Again, we submitted this before the last, or after the last council meeting, and before this council meeting, is a request that we have submitted and would like ratification of the submission of a $60,000 grant for the town, Taylor's Bottom Planning Grant, and then the $25,000 match is that which you guys already approved the task order that we had already spent, ARPA money, and we'd like to have authorization to submit a total grant, including town contribution of $85,000 to the Department of Housing and Community Development.
So moved.
Mr. Nash has moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Allman has second. Because of the dollar amount, I'll have a roll call vote beginning with Mr. Allman.
Aye.
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 That motion carries 6-0. Next item.
Asbestos, for those of you that have been following casually or not so casually, the Armory, we have received bids and approved the abatement of the asbestos at the Armory of $78,000 in Waco. Contractors is the contractor record. We have executed an agreement, and the building, their time started today. I think they'll be here this week, but I want council to be keenly aware we can't go in the building. Okay, everybody needs to stay out. Beginning today, no one needs to be inside the building. Okay, but they will be starting this week, and I dare say they have 45 days, but it certainly won't take 45 days to get the work done. The underground storage tank, as you know, we already authorized a contract, a much smaller amount to get the underground storage tank out. We don't have a contract yet signed because Todd Fortune, our project administrator, has COVID and has been out of the office the past 4 or 5 days. So, but they'll be moving forward. It says it's under contract. The contract has not actually been signed. There is a contract that both parties are waiting to sign based on Mr. Todd Fortune coming back. After we finish those two items, the lead-based paint abatement will be moving forward. And again, the building has to be kept clear of individuals. As soon as we have them, we will present to you the award documents for $1 million grant from the Department of Housing and Community Development Industrial Revitalization Fund and a $581,000 grant from the Virginia Tobacco Commission. I think it's been ballyhooed in the paper some, and you guys may have seen it. But those are two big critical wins for us to get the project done. So those in the audience and those on council, there are really 4 sources of funds right now for that project that are in place, that we have either awards or notification, or we actually have the cash on hand. It's $2.25 million of ARPA money that came from the federal government. You have $250,000 Brownfields grant for the Virginia Economic Development Partnership that the $1 million from the Industrial Revitalization Fund, which is the same pool of monies that we received a $600,000 grant last year to finish VUMAC, and then again the Tobacco Commission on $581,000. We still have one pending application with the Department of Agriculture in the amount of $247,000 that would finish the kitchen and do technology improvements and furniture, if you guys see that. Additionally, there's a list of items that have been stored in the Armory for a long time, long time, and I assume those have been in there 30 years, and there's a list attached, and I'm asking that you declare them surplus so we can dispose of them.
Excuse me, before you do, would you include where you want the funds to go from proceeds?
Well, first off, can we, as you as mayor, instruct the town or whoever it be, make sure we tell the chamber that obviously it's a no-go. I'm sure they know that, but I want to make
By
sure.
going in the building?
Yeah.
Yeah, we told them that they had a deadline, but I will.
Well, I want to make sure they know probably arts and crafts is not happening there this year.
Well, it depends on the scheduling, but I don't think the asbestos, so that'll all be done. It'll be the
Okay.
construction.
Well,
I just don't want them to be last minute catch wind of this.
we have a,
I've already notified,
Okay.
I think we'll probably have some different plans this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Mayor, would you like to have a motion that the building not be entered until further notice?
well, you know me, I'd like to have the motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, so we have a motion from Mr. Nash and a second from Mr. Miller that this building is closed to all personnel. I'll ask for a voice vote, please. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
I also move that we declare the list of items presented before us surplus, and that whenever we have an auction, that
I'd like to put
First-
them on
gov deals,
gov deals.
the proceeds go towards the Armory.
Okay. We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second, but I have a question. Yeah, go ahead.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Nash has moved that we surplus the items listed and that the proceeds go to the Armory. Mr. Page has seconded. Discussion, Mr. Page, you have the floor.
So this is everything that was in there? I mean, this included like the roller skates and everything
I
else
think,
that were in there?
I think Walter Mack was removing those roller skates, and he's wanting to refurbish some of them, do some stuff, but these are the hard items. There's old projectors. They used to show movies in there, great big projectors. There are,
He said that what they were doing, he said the Armory Committee was selling the skates, but then in turn, they were gonna turn it back over to the Armory.
to the armor.
Is that town property?
Holds Armory Fund.
The roller
Yes,
skates
they are.
town property?
And it's-
Well, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have, let's address this, but those items need to be surplus, and we need to authorize them to sell and put.
He's gonna have to give me a list, because I don't know, other than roller skates, I don't know what else he's,
I just
Who
don't
holds
want
Armory
this to
Fund
be
out
the
of
final
curiosity?
list, because I noticed things.
Who holds
Correct.
Armory
There's
Fund?
more in there, I'm sure, yeah.
All right, we have a motion and a second to surplus these items and the proceeds to go to the Armory. I'll ask for a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 6-0. I'm asking council for a motion,
Sorry.
asking council for a motion to surplus any other items that the Armory Group has found and give them the authority to sell and add the proceeds to the Armory Fund. Is there a motion?
I would like for them to be turned over to the town and that be included in the gov deals.
So that we could do.
there's some things in there, like that old scoreboard
Can we-
and
School
clocks
board,
and
I
stuff.
think, needs to
Can we
stay.
make the motion?
Those
that
don't need to leave.
Town manager's discretion on the items in the Armory?
They don't need to leave.
Don't leave it?
No, we're gonna refurbish it and put it back up
Okay.
in the
I was
building.
about to say.
Yeah.
Well,
But it doesn't need to be sold by,
Correct.
you said
us or the
Walter
Armory
Mack
Group.
wanted to refurbish the skates as well, right?
I think that's what he was planning on doing, is refurbish them somehow and
Was it
sell them
all?
or
That's what he
something.
said he was doing.
I
I
would-
didn't ask him how many pair, he just said.
I don't think you can sell the
See a
skates,
lot of bidders on
but
roller
I think
skates.
the mayor's right, just surplus it, clean it up, have a motion and
Retro,
deal with it.
retro skates can go, yeah, I mean,
So I'm asking to give the manager the authority to determine what will be surplus in an auction and what can be turned over to the Armory Committee to refurbish or whatever, sell, and the proceeds come back to the Armory.
So move.
So Ms. Williams has moved and Mr. Gormas has seconded. I don't see a dollar value here, so all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Moving right along. Next item on the agenda. Weatherization, anything to report? We'll jump right into new business. New business number one is the two memo of understanding between the state. The first one is between the state, Town of Blackstone, and DBI. You have-
It's a basic agreement, it's a 2-year agreement stating that the town will provide support and that DBI in return will provide a Main Street approach to what they're doing and those kinds of things. The same agreement we've signed on multiple occasions, if you've read it. Pretty benign, there's not a dollar commitment, and it just says contribution from the town. So I think you guys have made your contributions with the,
Is there a motion to allow the town manager to execute this MOI?
So moved.
Mr. Nash has moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Miller has second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. The next item is we'll need a motion authorizing the mayor to sign and execute the MOI provided in your packet between the town and DBI.
I think it was approved previously, it just hadn't been executed. And Jennifer, the clerk, did make some corrections, and if you have questions about those corrections that were in there, Jennifer can explain it. I think most of them were grammatical and/or structural without changing any of the terms or information in the agreement.
What is council's pleasure?
So move.
Do we need a motion to approve me to sign and execute this MOI between the town and DBI. Mr. Allman has
Second.
motion and Mr. Miller has seconded. I'm getting tired. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. Next item on the agenda.
The Inn at Blackstone lighting, currently, or we've been approached by the operators of the Inn of Blackstone and requested assistance with exterior lighting issues at the facility. Currently, there are 3 town-owned security lights on the property that are over next to the side where the auditorium, for those of you that remember the auditorium, that are on wooden poles. One is a stadium light, and there's 2 security lights on wooden poles. Not great looking, and they don't keep with the improvements of the property. The operators inquired whether these could be replaced with period lighting similar to that's on 4th Street, adjacent to the property. It is on private property, but they asked if we could help with that, and the material cost, not the labor and the concrete, but the actual poles themselves would be about $6,500.
But we're still charging for the monthly fee for the use of the lights. To pay.
Now, they would be attached, I think the intention would be to attach them onto the town, but it can be done otherwise. They
Love
can
the
be connected
spirit
back.
of helping a business, but this council has already put forth a large amount of money. And again, going back to what we just discussed, this is private property. I mean,
Are they town
Private
light poles
property,
then?
it brings in a tremendous amount of revenue too.
agree, not diminishing that at all.
And
We
we've
started that
already,
with
how
town
much
light
money have we, how much
Pardon?
money is it? Excuse me, Mr. Alman, how much money has the town already invested?
Really not that much, other than the engineering costs for the previous project, because the IRF grant funds that we applied for
Replenished that.
paid for most of it, but we did pay for the engineering for that water and sewer over there.
It will be very difficult for me not to weigh in on issues, but I'm asking the council to consider it. When you look at the scope of that project, and then these 3 dilapidated lights, I just think it's something we should do. But I'll leave that to council.
Town and light poles, correct?
Currently, town-owned light poles.
So moved.
You're replacing wooden poles with period lighting.
So, Mr. Alman has moved, and Mr. Gormas has second to authorize the town manager to install 3 period lighting poles and lamps.
Would you
for-
like them to be on their electric?
Absolutely. they
Meter
should.
side.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We'll figure that
I'll
out.
amend my motion to include that.
All right.
So if any other of these individuals that have placed significant dollars out of their own pockets come up and request the same thing, will it be granted?
Well, we presented to you Ep Street curb and gutter.
Well, no, I'm speaking of, and I'll throw his name out there because I work for him, but Mr. Rapp's got poles on his property. Well, could they be replaced?
If council
Sure,
so
but,
choose.
You know, my point was, is we put these poles all the way around the property. And, you know, this would
At
tie
the
it in.
requ-
th-
at the
this would tie-
request.
Right, this would tie it in together, but, I mean, I understand.
The town paid for the period lighting around there, but they, if you remember, not long after I started
Was
working
it-
here, you may be the only one who remembered,
It was a lien or a note on the
property was
or something.
transferred and they didn't actually satisfy the note, so they had to come back and they paid their share of the curb and gutter and sidewalk that was put on 4th Street. On
Okay.
both sides of 4th Street, actually.
So I have a motion and a second. There is an expense of $6,500, so I will ask for a roll call vote, beginning with Mr. Alman.
Aye.
They've invested a lot of money in town.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-1. Next item?
Quick question, I'm sorry to interrupt. The 6,500, that's for all 3 poles, that's not.
For 3 poles, right, yeah. That would be the guy's
Total
time
of
and,
That
$6,500.
includes the going on their meter.
the motion said on their meter.
All right,
I will tell you, these LED products,
They
don't.
Nothing, yeah.
so the next item is a spring meeting with the merchants. So I'd like the council's blessing to partner with DBI and their new executive director to plan and carry out a meeting with our town merchants. And I'm not talking about just the historical district. I'm talking about all our town merchants. Many of these business owners, they don't live in the town limits, and so they can't vote. But I'd like for them to have a voice, and I'd like for them to feel that we understand their needs and that we can partner with them. So I just want to get the council's blessing to move forward with that, and I'll come back with more details later. And can we do that by common consent?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Gormas, are y'all good with that? Y'all think it's a good idea that we engage these merchants?
The merchants provide for the town.
Right. Absolutely, they are our partners.
They pay the bills.
We have 4 committee referrals this evening. The first one is a ditch on Forest Drive, I believe it's 222 Forest Drive.
Yeah, I think the inquiry is that it's a private property ditch, and there's some, mayor would like to divert it away from private property and run it across some town property 206 Bird Road again is on private property, but it is a pipe that the town installed many, many years ago, and the drop inlets are in pretty bad shape, and I think they're on Ms. Davis's property. But for the record, Ms. Davis didn't make the request was made by an individual who's going to be a tenant in the 207. I've got
This-
written down
this
206,
Bird-
maybe 207.
You talking about Bird, I'm talking about Forest
We're
Drive.
talking about
Yeah.
2224.
I'm talking about Forest Drive.
You're skipping ahead, he's still on the same.
Forest Drive is a private property ditch, and the mayor has asked that it be diverted and away from an individual.
Well,
resident.
it could be a town ditch. I'd like Street and Light to go look at it, and there may be a way that we keep it on town property. My concern for the town is at the end of this street is a town pumping station. And the water's accumulating there, and I don't
The
want,
town does have some property down from where the water turns from town property and goes across private.
It should go to the creek. It should go, the drainage under the man's driveway that the town put the pipe that he bought in wasn't installed right, and it's not sloped, and it's a miniature pond downstream on the left side of his driveway. The water from the other side of the street and this side of the street collects on the upstream side of his driveway. And there's open pipes coming this way and open pipe coming this way, and then there's dirt. So it's all washing under the man's house. He's spending $16,000 with JES to try to address that. His fenced-in backyard, nice place. Can't even turn his dog out because the yard's so squishy. There's a stump about 10 feet from the driveway ditch right there next to the street that's got water standing there, you know. And when the piping was put in, the ditch wasn't routed as it should have been, because it does lead to the wetland lot next door, which makes no sense because that causes more backup into the yard as well. So this isn't really, I wouldn't say it's private property because the town did it before. Whether it was or it wasn't, but it's right there at the road. It's the driveway entrance. And the town did the work and didn't do it correctly. So
But that has nothing to do
we
with the
have a
water
problem.
running back towards his home. That has nothing to do with it.
I
That
don't-
ditch out on the street that is on town property, that water, whether it's standing some or is it flowing properly, the entire ditch system takes a right-hand turn across a private piece of property adjacent to his, and that is running back onto his property.
gentlemen, I'm gonna refer this to the Street and Light
Yeah,
Committee.
it just stops
So-
just past his yard.
And then we'll
It's
hear,
into that.
if you will, this is in his ward, and you will include him, I'd appreciate it. The second item is a drop inlet on 206 Bird Road. Mr. Manager, I'm not real familiar with this. Would
It's
you take the lead?
Historic old culvert that was put in many years ago, if you guys remember, at Ms. Grubb's request on Adams Street. The other portion of that ditch was filled in and piped in probably 7, 8, 10 years ago, if you guys remember. Same ditch line, but this is in between what we installed and the former Pinewood Apartments. I don't know what they're called now. Must have been. If you guys remember, that section runs behind a single-family home, a brick home, and there's two really antiquated drop inlets that allow water from the yard to come in there, and I think the individual that contacted me about it was concerned about the kids playing around, that sort of thing.
Okay, I'm gonna refer this to Street and Light, Chairman Miller. I'm getting ready to load him up. So, number 3 is the 2-hour parking, Mr. Manager.
I would need to know, we have on the books 2-hour parking, and if the town's intention for us to begin significant enforcement, as the mayor has indicated, he is the enforcement mayor, and we need to know, are we ready to start enforcing 2-hour parking downtown? And last council said, yes, we were gonna do it, and I just wanna make sure this is the case.
I think we need to, I'm gonna refer this to Mr. Miller, and yes, I will proudly be the enforcement mayor. I do not like turning down someone that comes to the podium and then we look the other way on something else. So, I'm gonna be after you guys to enforce or repeal.
So you said Mr. Miller, is that
Mr.
gonna be
Miller,
Street and Light?
Mr. Miller with Street and Light. The fourth committee referral come to my attention is an additional police officer position. Police officer position.
There is a police officer position in the budget this year. However, we also had a revenue from a cops grant that we were hoping to get, and we were turned down for that cops grant. However, I do think we still need to consider the position. You can't start until July anyhow, but we want to start the discussion prior to the budget. And
I will refer this item to Mr. Miller again, and he's the chair of police and employment.
But
Alright.
before we do that, I would like to get with the finance committee before we, talk about that. Okay?
So do you want to send it to council?
No, I wanna go to police and see, if you have a need,
Right.
and then after you do that, I'll
Come to us, yeah.
assign it to,
Okay. Stand to it.
I'll assign it to finance, yes, sir. All right, any other, referrals you know about? Okay, all right, we have, under the mayor's minute, I had the clerk put a letter from Supervisor Rourke in front of you. I don't know if y'all have had time to read it. I'm pressing some action on this because our meetings are not coinciding. And, basically what it is Supervisor Rourke would like to have the county look at their current zoning ordinances and codes. And he's asking for the town's blessing, I guess. Have you read this? How do you interpret it? I'm tired.
There's already a motion for those of you new, and approval for the town manager to hire a firm to codify our zoning ordinances. And we found out today that we have something online in regards to chickens that we probably need to update that didn't accurately reflect. That's actually done through Municode. We already have an agreement with Municode, so Jennifer would send those ordinance to them and they would update them. Now, as far as reviewing to determine whether we want them, don't need them, whatever that is, then that's beyond what Municode is doing. But we have a motion already to do the update on the zoning. We haven't advertised it, just hadn't had time to mess with it. And so end result is if you wanted to do a cooperative with the county, we tried to approach the CRC to help us with that. And if you remember, there's several items of specific zoning interest. One is gaming machines. 2 are political signs. Marijuana use and marijuana sales and consumption, and what the new state laws hold for us. I think there's some folks have intention on doing that, and our ordinance doesn't currently provide for it. I don't know if they agree with our ordinances, but our ordinance don't say that you can do those kinds of things despite their efforts to do so. It's our expectation in the spring sometime to do that. We want to coincide with the county. I don't have a problem because I think council's already voted to do that.
Is this email, it's quite a large email, I haven't processed it, but has he asked for us to cooperate, or is he?
I think he's looking for the 3 towns in the county to kind of cooperatively work on these things together.
I know it's a lot to ask. Do we wanna table this request, or wanna discuss it? What do we
But-
wanna do?
It says here it won't be a review of the town codes, just the county codes.
Right, exactly.
So I think he's wanting, some type of, letter of support that he can bring to supervisors, saying, hey, we need to redo our ordinance, we need to have them looked at by a professional.
I think he's saying also that, just by reading quick, that possibly it can be a better price for everybody involved if everybody jumps on board with the same.
part.
Is that the cooperative? Yeah. Well, that,
Well, I don't see where it would hurt us to listen.
It wouldn't, but before we technically get in bed with somebody, I'd like to see a price.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. I mean, do we have a problem answering Mr. Rourke that, we're certainly listening. We like what we hear, we just wanna know what you're asking our taxpayer to burden.
yeah, I'll move that.
My only thing is if we decide to take significant changes to our ordinance, that could significantly change the direction of our town, that it would come before council to.
Just so everybody knows, all ordinances have to be voted on after a duly advertised public hearing, 2 times in the newspaper.
Right.
So,
What's your thoughts on it? I don't mean put you on the spot. Is something?
well, I don't mind doing some cooperative stuff, but what I don't want to do is get into a situation where the county selects somebody and then we're obligated to work with that, despite whether Blackstone or the town manager or the town council or the mayor wants to work with that individual. We want to certainly be cooperative, but we want to have a seat at the table when the decisions are made about who to hire, how much it's going to be, all those kinds of things.
Could you craft this letter
Yeah,
for us? And,
Yeah, sure.
now, help me with the FOIA here. I don't wanna have to drag us back in here in a special meeting, so can we just authorize you to?
We're listening.
Oh, yeah.
And
To share what you just did,
Interested?
and you just go ahead and send it, and,
So,
I would like a motion that we're gonna, support Mr. Rourke's efforts, and we're wanna hear his proposal.
So moved.
Mr. Almond has made the motion.
Second.
Is that you, Mr. Page?
Yeah. Yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. The last item that I have on the mayor's minute, feels like I've had a mayor's 3 hours tonight, but, the third item is I would like to know, is there anybody, a member of council that would be interested or has the desire to serve on our IDA? We need to appoint one position.
I just caution whoever that person is, the statement of economic interest, because we're under 3,500, does not need to be filled out in the same detail by council people, but the IDA still has some of the investments and things that you've got to disclose. The disclosures are more significant.
Are committees reinstated at the county level now, or
Not
is this
yet.
considered a committee of the county?
IDA? No, the IDA is a town
Okay.
industrial development
How
authority.
often do they meet?
Never.
Never.
I can take a look at the paperwork.
We've met once since I've been here in 10 years.
I'd like to take a look at the paperwork
When I,
or what's required to be
I
presented.
asked the mayor to bring this up because due to the less of the population, nobody, council and planning commission didn't have to do this, but when I went back and looked at the list, Tom Wilkinson was a member, and he has since moved, so I realized we need to fill his position, so,
And former Mayor Colburn has agreed to stay on.
yes.
Yeah, I think that I'll take it again. I just want to look at the paperwork.
All right, well, is there anyone else that has any interest? What I'd like to do is to go ahead and vote on you if you want to, give you the option to decline later.
I
Sound all
move
right
to
with me?
appoint Mr. Almond as our liaison on the IDA, upon his review of documents.
So moved.
And Mr. Miller seconds. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. That's all I have. Police, you have the police report in your package. Chief, do you have anything that you want to present?
No, Mr. Mayor, I don't. If you have any questions for me, I'd be glad to answer.
No, sir. I enjoyed meeting with you, you and the manager recently, and I want to share with council my pride and my gratitude for your department, and I'm excited about working with you, sir, very much.
Thank you so much.
May I,
There- Yes,
I wanted to invite him to the Health and Ordinance
well,
Committee.
you can do so.
Yeah.
You can do so after the meeting. Yes, when you
Oh.
email him. Yes, sir.
Alright.
I don't want to get kicked in the shin by keeping y'all all night. So is there any other business to come before council?
I just want to let you guys know, on the MUMS project for the Dillard Crawley building, there was a fire marshal inspection last week, and fire marshal is not allowed to release the report. So I did FOIA a copy of the report at their recommendation. So if anybody asks you about a FOIA request, the town's put into the state fire marshal's office to get a copy of the results of their inspection.
All right, I'm gonna ask my rookie card here, Mr. Manager. We're gonna go into closed session and hear the recommendation from, Employment Committee about a DBI position. Are we gonna take any action when we come back? Oh, do you foresee us?
I don't think that there'll be a definitive announcement. I think basically there'll be a consensus among the council about a candidate. And I think that before you announce that candidate or publicly announce, I think you need to present the offer to that individual. And
So we'll
see if
have,
they'll accept.
we'll meet and we'll, DBI contingency here, we'll have this closed session and we'll have the town manager contact you on what decision they've come up with. What? Do what?
Just because I'm required to state,
Yeah, okay.
just because every time this issue comes up, I'm required to state it, but I have a conflict of interest with DBI. They do work with my company, so I'm going to be abstaining from that discussion. And then if you can call me back in for the second item.
We'll do that, but we, when we go into closed, okay?
Yeah.
There's 2 times that the public can speak to the council, and that's beginning in the visitor section. We also have citizens comment, portion of the meeting is now. Do we have any citizens that would like to come to the podium and address the town? Hearing none, I need a motion to go into closed session, first for personnel.
So moved.
And you
You
need,
want me to read the?
I would, Mr. Miller, if you don't mind, I'll have the clerk read the motion, and
And I have personnel and acquisition of real
we
property.
do, and we'll take up personnel first. And Mr. Page is gonna excuse himself, and then when we take up the acquisition of real property, we'll gather him back in.
Okay, so the motion will include, closed session for the discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, discipline, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of any public body, and the discussion or consideration of the acquisition of real property for a public purpose, or the disposition of publicly held real property where discussion in open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body.
Is this your motion, Mr. Miller?
Yes.
I need a second, please.
Second.
Mr. Gormas. I'll ask for a motion to continue this closed session for the acquisition of real property. So if you'll read that motion?
She just did.
Both
I
of them?
read both of them.
Okay, I told you I'm tired. All right. So I will ask for a roll call vote, beginning with Mr. Almond.
Abstain.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. That concludes the public session for tonight. If you want to hang around and come back,